I'm Beverly O'Connor, an ABC journalist and a former vice president of the Melbourne Football Club. Many of us have been watching women play Aussie rules for years, but never with a shot at the big league. That's about to change with the launch next year of the National AFL Women's League. It's a dream come true for philanthropist Susan Alberti and the young women who will now play at the highest level. This is their story.
Susan Alberti's contributed, well, millions really, into charities over the years. I call her Your Royal Highness or Your Majesty. I keep getting her down to the Sharks. I say to her, come on, I'm going to pull on the boots and have a kick one day, and I'll get you some gloves so you don't break your nails.
Well, I don't usually like taking my own car to the suburban grounds because it's rather a good car. It's a nice Mercedes, and I usually have a driver who takes me.
The thing I love about Sue, there's no hierarchy with her. Sue has empathy for any young person who's gone through a difficult time, and she always reaches out.
1, 2, 3, Sharks!
One particular player I've observed is Moana Hope. She's the leading goal kicker at the moment.
Come on, Mo!
She's already a personality and a character in our game, and that's going to be the story of the Women's League. At first pass, Susan and Mo wouldn't have much in common, but once you get to know Susan, she is as grounded as anyone you'd meet.
That's it.
She's phenomenal.
She's been funding women's football since, way back, and probably one of the biggest reasons why we're in the position that we are right now.
It doesn't surprise me that Susan Alberti is back in the Women's National League. I guess there's a real theme that has happened across her time in football, and that is back in the underdog.
Created from Smith to Ross. Until then, great show. Savage.
And he's hurt himself. He's in real trouble, boys, and he's in real pain. The game will have to stop here.
This is turning into a disastrous night for the Dogs.
For the stretcher.
I'm going down to the rooms just to see the players and lend them my support, and whether you win, lose or draw, you should still be there for them.
Susan's the vice president of the Western Bulldogs, and the last time the Bulldogs won the premiership was in 1954 when they were known as Footscray.
As Whitten released from centre half back, it's a drop kick right down towards half forward. They come out once
That's the only grand final, and I've heard so many stories about it ever since, and I just dream of the day where I can be part of that celebration. Brooke, what's the situation?
Sue is almost a dichotomy in her personality.
Oh, no. Yeah. Mitch has broken his leg. That's it for the year.
When she was a child, she was mischievous, daring, lovable, at times very, very girly. At other times when she felt like it, when she's in the backyard with me, she'd tough it out with me playing football.
I really wanted to play serious football, but I was a pretty tough rover. I was a tough tackler, and Dad used to think I was pretty good. But then by about the age of 15, Dad didn't think it was safe for a young woman, particularly as I was playing against, mature men. So I had to hang up my boots at 15.
That was in the 50s, late 50s. She had no opportunity really to partake in a team. There were no girls' teams.
I'm going to go up there and welcome them as they come down. When I couldn't continue playing football, I was absolutely heartbroken because the love of the game has been there since I was about 6 years old, and it still continues to this day.
There's long been a stigma attached with women's football, I believe. The perception that AFL football is a game for men and that women shouldn't even consider playing. I think there was a stigma around the game being purely played by gay women.
I've always loved watching women playing football. I'd been taking notes and sneaking around, finding out what they were doing.
No! Why would you go there?
I think in about 2007-8, I received a call from the Victorian Women's Football League. They'd just received about $6,000 from a state government grant. I mean, that wouldn't take you very far.
She spoke at our lunch and we didn't have any sponsors much, and at the end of the lunch she goes, I'd like to give you a cheque. She handed over 25 grand. Like, we all fell off the chairs and cried, you know, because it was just emotional. It allowed us to employ someone to run the league and also just, you know, to help us to build the momentum.
Thank you. Hello. Promise I won't give any secrets away.
Her support continued, and I think every state probably wished they had a Susan Alberti at that time.
When I first met Susan, it was at a grand final, I think, when I was about 18 to 19, probably 10 years ago. And I seen this lady whose hair was done perfect, and I'm all about good hair.
Susan might pull the boots on. No way, no way. I can't, I'm wearing jewellery. You can wear your pearls.
I just assumed that she actually owned the entire competition. She had, like, I think it was a Dolce & Gabbana handbag on the floor, and her pearls. I remember the pearls because I'd never seen some in real life. I only ever seen them on a Titanic, which is weird.
When I first saw Mo and I saw all those tattoos, I thought, what the heck am I looking at? You're a beautiful young woman. Why do you have to have tattoos on your body? It's why? And I was prejudging her. That was wrong, and I'll admit that.
Mo Hope is an outstanding footballer, and not many people really know the real Mo. She has a big family. She's had challenges in her life. She's the carer of her sister.
Mo, you're getting cold out there, aren't you?
Still here. You're still here. It's like it's about to snow. I need to make a snowman.
I don't know, when I see Susan, I sort of see myself in Susan in a weird way, because I don't feel like she's always had it, you know, on a silver platter. She's gone through life through, you know, she's had tough times, and she's lost people that she's really loved.
I was almost 18 when I met Angelo. By the time he was 25, he had his own business. Danielle arrived. She arrived 2 years after we were married. Beautiful young baby, no hint of anything wrong, just perfect. And I was continuing to work from home. I've always worked. I don't know what it's like not to work.
Sue and Angelo, yes, they ran a very successful business, Dan Sue Constructions. Mainly was in commercial development. Angelo was a trailblazer in everything he did. Nothing was impossible. I think that attracted Sue because that's the way she thinks.
I just wanted to continue on and have more children. I had ectopic pregnancies. I had miscarriages. So I started to resolve myself to the fact that it was not going to happen.
If you have one.
It gets everyone to smile. Hope's on 3, 1, 2, 3.
I come from a family of 14, so massive family, you know, 8 girls, 4 boys, no, 10 girls, 4 boys, see, I can't even count.
Little ones, just don't go crazy.
And Mum still lives in the same house in Glenroy.
It's cool, good on you. Mine used to get her dad, and they'd go out there and kick the ball. And then he'd take her around to the oval, you know, and it'd spend endless time around, kick, do this, do this, do this.
He was obsessed and I was obsessed, and, you know, we were 2 peas in a pot. I was in primary school when I first found out he had cancer. When I was about, I'd say around, you know, 10, I decided to pretty much drop out of school and go be his home nurse. I was always going to be at his bedside, and that's where I was for the next 3 to 4 years. I remember going to 2 weeks of work experience. I had to fulfil at a supermarket, which I hated because I never wanted to be away from my dad. When I was at work experience, I got a call from my mum, and she said, come home. You have to come home right now. And I had no idea what was going on. So I went home, and I think around that time I found, like, my mum got a call and I was sitting in the lounge room, and he the nurse called and said he passed away. So that was probably the worst part of my life.
Danielle was such an achiever. She always wanted to be good at whatever she did. But I remember one morning she wouldn't stop drinking and I couldn't work out what the problem was. I just thought, you can't be that dehydrated. One minute I had a perfectly healthy child and the next minute I had a child with an autoimmune disease, type 1 diabetes. If she didn't take insulin, she would have died, because insulin doesn't cure diabetes. It just keeps you alive. So that's when the merry-go-round started.
Because Sue and Angelo had been very successful in business, they contributed substantial monies to try and get an awareness of diabetes where people took it seriously and said, we can do something about it.
Angelo was very creative, talented, smart, and as was his daughter. They were, so close. In 1995, Angelo was age 53 and a truck driver went straight through the intersection and straight through my husband on a bike. I remember when we turned off the machines together and watched his heart stop beating. My daughter was hysterical. And I think that was the beginning of the end of Danielle. She never recovered. She said, "Mum, I've got to leave this country. I can't stay here. I've got to find my own identity."
I think once my dad passed away, I was quite lost actually, and footy was my outlet. I think for then, because playing footy reminded me of him a lot.
It was about 2008 and I was the media manager for the Victorian Women's Football League. We were doing media promoting the game as far and as wide as we could, and we wanted some players to do a photo for the Herald Sun. And I asked Mo to cover up her tats. She didn't actually take part in the photo shoot after that. She said she didn't want to. That really, that really damaged Mo.
Even though I loved football and football was my passion, I think it was time for a break.
Her tattoos all mean something. They've all got something to do with her dad, it's got something to do with me. And if you actually saw them, you would realise there's a story behind them.
There's a reason why I am the way I am. Like, if I want to shave the side of my hair, I'll shave it. If I want to put a tattoo on my body, I will do that. And I think I came to that conclusion after I lost my dad, because I lost him and he's never coming back. And you only live one life, and I truly believe that you put on this earth to live your own life.
I had a very intelligent daughter. She wanted to support herself, and as much as she could, in view of her circumstances.
Danielle went off in her late 20s to the United States and she was doing further studies in art. At that time, Danielle was getting worse in her health, very much worse.
I was to give her my kidney. What would any mother or father do? You'd give your life.
And I think Sue wanted her to come back to Australia to have the transplant here.
And about an hour out of Los Angeles, Danielle started thrashing around and wanting to take off her clothes, and I thought, this is really odd. And she said, "Mum, my back is so painful." I said, "Don't worry, I'll rub it." She said, "Rub it. Will you hold me, Mum?" And I did, and I sat there on the side of her seat holding her. And with that, she had a massive heart attack. She died in my arms. I lay next to her for the next 9 hours or 10 hours, bringing her home to Australia, not alive but dead.
Sue did blame herself because she felt that Danielle had gone to the States, was living on her own, was her only daughter, she was out of the country, she had a serious problem. Why aren't I there?
Mine has always been gentle. I think she understands family values.
How many boyfriends have you got?
10. Where are they?
I was 5 when Lavinia was born, and Lavinia's my favourite sister out of all of them. She's like my best friend.
You have to tell me, I guessed.
Her disability is called Moebius syndrome. So I can tell you that, you know, she's 23 with the mental capacity of like a 6-year-old, but at the same time, she's very smart.
He's what? What is it? He's what? No boyfriends for you.
He's like, I'm gonna get 2. What do you want me?
I think he's got a wife as well. So
I'm gonna break up the wife.
You can't break up.
Yes, I can.
Lavinia needed someone away from me because I thought to myself, if anything happens to me, she's going to be stuck.
Oh, it's just finished.
Mum asked me if I would, you know, take Lavinia on full time and be Lavinia's carer for life. And I didn't think twice. I didn't have to think about it. I pretty much wanted Vinny to pack her bags and come straight away. And that's literally what happened because, you know, Lavinia's a piece of me. People point at her and people say things, and you might even get teenagers that laugh at her.
Yay, my finger!
And it infuriates me immensely. She just sees people for who they are, and she sees the moment for how it is, and I think we need more people in the world that sees life like that.
I can't.
People within our community, I think, are very judgmental, and that then has an on-flow effect into sport as well.
Records! Make sure you get your footy records!
Doggy brother! I say this.
It is probably true to say that the outer at the football was a place which gave rise to the venting of more racism, sexism, homophobia than most other places. It's still there, and of course there are still obvious examples of it going on, and regrettably Nine's Footy Show remains a repeat offender.
From Shelley James of Caulfield North. I have to say that Caro Wilson is my inspiration. I love to try and emulate the outfits she wears.
In 2008, Sam Newman walked out onto the set, and I was watching it on this particular night with all of my children.
In fact, if you just tuned in, this is meant to be Caro.
And, you know, I just sat there in sort of shock, I think. I think I just sort of went a bit numb.
I was disgusted and I thought, this is terrible. Caroline is an excellent journalist. She may have written things about people that they don't like. That's her job.
I tell you what, she's a fair piece, Caro.
Sue, as a leader in the industry and a leading woman in the industry, was one of a number of signatories to a letter complaining to Channel 9 about that treatment for her trouble and the trouble of the rest of them. They were branded as liars and hypocrites by Newman on the show the following week, and it was Sue who took up the cudgels as a matter of principle and sued for defamation.
Because she's had to deal with so much crap in her personal life and so much sadness that I don't think anything was going to stop her in this case. And obviously she was wealthy enough to do it.
She'd made herself a target for people that thought it was outrageous that a woman was taking on these men who had been in the football world for so many years.
At the time of the defamation proceedings, I was determined that I was not going to stop what I'd started, even though I looked very unhealthy at the time. I'd put on quite a bit of weight. I was also struggling with cancer. No one knew that, but no, he was not going to get away with it.
It led to Channel 9 settling the case for almost the maximum amount possible.
An apology from Channel 9 was read out in court, saying the network had not intended to impute Dr. Alberti was a liar. She'll receive $220,000 compensation.
It was an extremely important step in what is a continuing struggle to eradicate this form of misogyny and degrading treatment of women from the industry.
I have not apologised for anything to do with this matter at all. What Channel 9 do is completely up to them.
Are there any issues relating to the accuracy of those minutes that anyone wishes to raise?
I believe the culture of any organisation, particularly AFL, it comes from the top. And I was making noises behind the scenes, albeit ruffling a few feathers, saying this is crazy, why haven't we got women playing AFL football? It's not a privilege, it's a right.
So when the Western Bulldogs and the Melbourne Football Club fielded teams and had a draft and presented it and packaged it in a way that everyone could understand, I think that was the big turning point.
Good start, good start. That's a better start.
What the AFL was piloting here was this dream that one day women might have a league of their own that they could look at the same way that we look at men's football.
Yes, full credit to Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs have been great supporters of women's footy in recent...
And of course I couldn't wait to watch these women playing because I'd heard about them and I got to see them at this exhibition match.
I was not sure if I wanted to go because I hadn't been involved in women's football in so long, and I decided, I think last minute, the day before, to go. Needless to say, I was blown away. It was just, you know, from the warm-up to the game itself, the skill level, the fact that they're playing on the MCG and they were wearing AFL jerseys.
Great pace by the number 2 draft pick. Check sides it through for a goal.
I just wanted to literally leave the MCG and go to the gym because I wanted to be out there.
She came back, she said to me, Mum, I think I might go back to footy. I said, if you're going to go back to footy, make it on your terms.
I knew it was going to take a lot of work, and I knew I let myself go, like, you know, body-wise. I put on a bit of weight, and so I knew it was going to be a hard road, and I didn't expect it to happen in a week.
Fortunately for her and for the game, she's back in the game and she's in love with the game again.
At the moment, locally, I play for St Kilda Sharks. I started playing for them 2 years ago.
She's so strong, she's such a smart reader of the play and her skills are phenomenal. She's on track to kick 100 goals this year.
I got to know more and more about her background and found out what a very solid, wonderful person she was. Not only a good footballer, she'd done it so tough. She'd had the hard school of knocks, like myself. And immediately we had a rapport, the two of us.
My one has always been wanting to work. I've never known one to be, you know, I'll stay at home today or I don't want to do this anymore.
I run a traffic management company, so my days normally start at 3 a.m. I actually hire some of my brothers and sisters to work for me.
Family means everything to Mo. One of the things Mo's trying to do now is look at how she can set herself up financially, try and set up the family for life.
Someone like Moana Hope, who is the best goal kicker not only in Victoria but in the country, she doesn't get paid playing football.
Take go, Mo! Go, Mo! Good girl!
The male counterparts get paid and they get paid extraordinary amounts of money. If the AFL brings in a professional league, it really needs to consider, and it's a must, that these women athletes get paid.
The AFL has named the 8 clubs that will take part in its inaugural women's competition next year.
Go Pies! A landmark day for Aussie rules and for women's sport in Australia.
I'm just so happy. I can't tell you how happy I am. I was in tears before.
Next year is probably the most exciting year. It's when AFL women's first ever competition starts.
It's an issue of equity and we believe strongly that's the right thing to do, but it's also a good business decision for the AFL.
What it symbolises is the AFL saying you can be real legends of the game. We want to give you the status that we give Brownlow medalists and captains and premiership players.
Every club participating in the National Women's League in 2017 gets to nominate 5 marquee players. We nominated 5 and Moana Hope was one of the 5. Within the 5, we are also required to nominate 2 that we're virtually guaranteed to get.
Mo Hope has a very good chance of being a marquee player, and those marquee players will be paid the highest salary of all the players on the list. The figure of $25,000 has been mentioned.
I had a missed call from the AFL last night from a guy called Josh Vanderloo, who's in charge of the women's section. He'll call me back this afternoon. If I get one of the top 2 players, it'll be an amazing help financially for me. At the moment, we pay $500 a year for fees to play football. Say hello.
Say hello.
Mum, say hello.
Hello.
Say hello to the new marquee of
Hello
Collingwood
to
Football
the-
Club. Are you crying, you big Sukilala?
Oh, that's so good. Oh, it's good.
Yeah, you just called me.
Choice.
Hey, Dad. I'm sure you've seen all the Collingwood stuff last week. Hope you're proud. Being named a marquee for Collingwood Football Club is breathtaking. It's mind-blowing. I don't think I have the words on how blessed I feel to have been given this opportunity. I would have loved to have been at the Bulldogs, but at the same time, it's an AFL team and they've selected me, so I'm very grateful.
The Collingwood Football Club have selected Moana Hope and Emma King.
Sue would not be happy about this. She'd like to have all the best female players playing for the Western Bulldogs. Of course, she's totally biased.
Sue has an absolute passion for the young women that play football. They're like daughters.
The AFL Women's League will commence in February 2017, but right now you've got players like Moana Hope who are preparing for finals. Her team actually is second on the ladder with St Kilda Sharks.
Here we go, Sharky!
At the moment, I'm on 99 goals in my local VFL competition, and we've got 1 round left.
1, 2, 3, Sharks!
I don't think there's been anyone in the VFL or at the highest level kick 100 goals. So this is really a great moment.
I'd love to meet Mo and her family. I mean, she's a real family girl and she's just a remarkable woman.
I cannot imagine a Mercedes rocking up to my mum's street, first of all, rather than pulling up to my mum's house. We do live in Glenroy.
Hello, Mo. How are you, darling?
Lovely to see you.
Oh, thank you for having me
This
here.
is my mum.
This is your mum.
Pleasure
And what's
to meet
your
you.
name?
Rosemary.
Sue's a big believer in helping people, and she can see that Mo's trying to get to a place, and Mo's been through a lot in her life already at 28 years of age, as Sue has in her life, and they've bonded, and I think they'll always have a very close bond for the rest of their life.
This is,
You're all good looking.
don't say that, give him a big head. This is Dice.
G'day, women in there, yeah. Hi.
And this is Paul.
Hello, Paul, once again. How are
This is
you?
only a couple.
Yeah, I know.
There's about a trillion.
Do you remember all their names, though?
No, not even their birthdays. It's not worth it.
If people speak about who's their inspiration as a person, Susan's mine.
I was telling Mum about your pearls too.
People would be shocked if you wore pearls, especially playing football.
They'd probably think I took them from you.